started to believe and grow up.
He's a rookie. Look at him knocking the ball away, and that's a violation on Paul.
Andre.
Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the return.
The Heat ahead by 4. Irving and Dragic in the Brooklyn backcourt. Kyrie, a wizard with the ball, yet it's sent back by...
Make an ability, but how about his competitive spirit? Locks down.
In the game of basketball, defense is a combination of strength, quickness, body control, and basketball IQ. Defense in basketball is one of the most important aspects of the game. In this video, I'm going to narrow it down to the top 10 defenders to play in the NBA. Before going into the list, here are some honorable mentions: Dwight Howard, Scottie Pippen, LeBron James, David Robinson, Dennis Johnson, and Michael Jordan.
How to keep the ball in bounds and a block. Look at this thing.
Here it is. Eat it up, Ben. You're right, Fred. I mean, he keeps this thing in bounds. He controls it.
Harrington trying to go up and around.
Ben Wallace is regarded as one of the best defensive players to play the game of basketball and probably the best undrafted player ever. He is an NBA champion with Detroit Pistons in 2004. He also played for Washington Wizards, Orlando Magic, Chicago Bulls, and Cleveland Cavaliers. But he had the most success in the Pistons jersey. His defensive play and IQ was one of the main reasons Pistons won it all in 2004. He has won 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards, the most, a record he shares with Mutombo, a 6-time All-NBA Defensive Team winner. Pistons retired his jersey in 2016, and in 2021, Wallace was well-deservedly inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame.
It's at 9 on the clock. Williams under the basket, and here is Kenny Anderson driving around Jones, and a batted block by Wallace.
Chamberlain puts it in.
There is not much that I can say that hasn't already been said about Wilt Chamberlain. He was truly one of the most athletic and complete player of all time, both in offense and defense. His offense is well recorded in the stat sheets and the records he made, but because there was no record kept during his era about defensive achievements, there is not much record about his defensive abilities. Still, when all NBA defensive teams were created, he made 2 All-NBA defensive first teams in his last years playing in the league. He is a 11 times rebounding champion and holds the record for most rebounds in one game. That is 55 rebounds in one game. Yeah, you heard it right. 55. A monster in this game.
Following up again, as he has so many times in his great career.
Rebounding numbers in favor of Philly, 31-20. Denied! Kawhi Leonard, the rejection!
Kawhi Leonard is currently playing for the Clippers, but he already has created a legacy for himself thanks to his amazing defensive and improved offensive skills, and as well as numerous achievements in the game of basketball. He has won 2 NBA championships and 2 Finals MVPs with San Antonio Spurs in 2014 and Toronto Raptors in 2019. He has earned his nicknames The Claw and Cyborg for his defensive skills and high defensive IQ. He has won 2 back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year awards, as well as 7 All-NBA defensive teams and a 1-time steals leader in 2015. One of the best defensive player of all time and probably the best from our generation.
Quarter, now it's time to put your foot down and get back in this game.
Hayes with 8 points and 5 rebounds off the bench, and there's a flying Kawhi Leonard with a defensive maneuver.
If he kept it in front of him, it's a layup.
And not a very good shot. Porter up with the ball. Flipped it ahead for Strickland. Stolen by Gary Payton. Flipped the ball to Kendall.
Amazing how much information Matt can pick up on those elevators. Payton with the...
GP Gary Payton aka The Glove is widely considered as the best defensive point guard ever to play the game of basketball, being the first point guard to win the Defensive Player of the Year award in 1996, a 1-time NBA champion with the Heat in 2006, 9 times All-Defensive First Team and steals leader in 1996. Gary Payton is what you call a mentally tough basketball player. He would dominate you through his trash talking and high IQ defense. He was very durable, intense and extremely hard to play against. One of all-time great at point guard position and one of the best defensive player of all time.
A good anticipation. Payton with a beauty to count.
On a ladder because he was suspended in the air for quite a while.
Payton out of control, but he scores. He'll do that. He'll flip it over the back of his...
A former Golden Gloves boxer. Send that one out. And a former Theo Johnson looking inside. Gets it to Duncan. Quickly double team. Garnett rejected and took it down.
Shot clock is down to 5.
Kevin Garnett played 21 seasons in the NBA and won an NBA championship with Celtics in 2008. The Big Ticket, he earned that nickname for his freakish athleticism. He is one of the first star players to come from Minnesota Timberwolves. He led them to 8 consecutive playoff appearances. In 2004, KG won MVP award and led the Timberwolves to the Western Conference Finals. He also has 15 NBA All-Star appearances and an All-Star MVP in 2003. He is known for his intensity, trash talking, versatility and defensive ability. KG played with everything he had. He is one of the only 5 players to have won both NBA MVP and Defensive Player of the Year award. He is a 4-time rebounding champion and one of the best defensive forward players to play the game of basketball.
A Minnesota foul.
Well, these are the kinds of fouls that Garnett does not want to get in. Garnett has got something to say right here, but this is all talk.
No need for that.
Ball maneuvers. Looking for the tie. Rejected by Duncan. Rejected by Duncan. That's an effort here by Tim Duncan. Something I was real surprised about. We talked about Kawhi Leonard.
Another all-time great player, Tim the Big Fundamental Duncan, probably the best power forward of all time. Duncan played his entire career in his first jersey where he brought 5 NBA championships. Because of how great of a post player he is, people tend to forget he is also one of the best defenders at that position. He played forward as well as center for the most of his career, and he is the only player to be selected both All-NBA and All-Defensive teams for 13 consecutive seasons. He has 15 All-NBA defensive team selections and have 3 Finals MVP as well as 2 regular season MVPs. A mild-mannered yet the keystones to the Spurs franchise and also their defense.
Great block by Duncan. Finishes with a little contact.
Defensive plays. James drives, blocked by Duncan.
And the good block, and then Boris Diaw plants himself, makes James adjust.
Seattle by 1. 10 seconds on the shot clock. John Kemp trying to do it one-on-one. Block by Dikembe. Reloads it. He knew Dikembe was there, and he wasn't even close on that shot.
He handles him. He gives him a problem.
Dikembe Mutombo is widely considered as one of the greatest shot blocker and defensive player of all time. Mutombo played for several teams. Those are Nuggets, Hawks, Sixers, Nets, Knicks and Rockets. And he has always been the biggest defensive force for those teams. He's a 3 times blocks leader, 2 times rebounding champion, 6 times all defensive teams and a record 4 times NBA Defensive Player of the Year award winner, tied with Ben Wallace. He passed Kareem in the shot block list and is second in the list to record the most shot blocks in the NBA history. A great humanitarian and one of the best at defense.
There's a feed, Jordan blocked away by Mutombo. Jordan lost that ball going up, but Dikembe right there, perfect timing on that block.
Hawks by 9 in the second quarter, and Michael Jordan hasn't scored a point for Chicago. Mutombo blocked by Rodman. Well, I'll tell you, this is the best that we have seen.
Dennis the Menace, the Worm Dennis Rodman is arguably the best defending forward and one of the best rebounder of all time. His stamina, intensity, fierceness is legendary and well told. He played for several teams in the NBA. Those are Pistons, Spurs, Bulls, Lakers and Mavericks. He's a 5-time NBA champion, 2 with Pistons, 3 with Chicago Bulls. He always guarded the best player in the opposite team and was focused on rebounding more than anyone in the game. He's a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner, have 8 All-NBA defensive team selections and record 7 times rebounding champion. Even though today he is known for his antics and controversies, people should not forget about what he did as a great player for his team. Personally, he's my number 1 defender of all time.
On him for not hustling. Oakley rejected by Rodman. Watch this. He had to make a wild adjustment all the way over from the left-hand
side, which he's disciplined to anticipate his opponent's moves.
The champion of champions, Bill Russell was one of the best defenders and shot blockers of all time. He played his entire career in the Celtics jersey and brought them a record 11 NBA championships. While Wilt was more of a great offensive player than Russell, there was no doubt who was the best defensive player among the two. Because of less defensive stats, the same as Wilt, it's hard to find out about the stats of his playing career. Still, he has a defensive All-NBA team selection in 1969, a 4-time rebounding champion, and he is one of only 2 players, the other being Wilt, to score more than 50 rebounds in a single game. One of the first great defensive players to emerge who innovated how to play defense with his defensive abilities, shot blocking and rebounding skills. A GOAT defender and one of the greatest players of all time.
And brought a new dimension to the game.
West all alone. Look at Russell come down. And what a play by Russell.
Walked into practice today carrying a basketball with him. Crowd exploding here. 5 to shoot. Humphries. Corbin with 3. Jet went down. Block.
Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon is currently at the top of the list in the most blocks in NBA history. So no wonder he is in this list. But what makes him the greatest defensive player of all time? While you notice that most players in this list have ability, mostly their rebounding, intensity and skills, which they excel at, but Hakeem literally could do it all. He was a complete defensive player, blocks, rebounding, steals, matchups and guarding different positions. He could do them all. He's a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner, have 9 All-NBA defensive team selections, 2 times rebounding champion, 3 times blocks leader. NBA renamed their Defensive Player of the Year award to the Hakeem Olajuwon Trophy in 2022, a well-deserved honor to the greatest defender of all time.
Checked in by Ewing. That's his third block this first quarter. Ewing, the trailer, stopped by Olajuwon.
That's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment for future content.
A shutdown guard. Both him and Lonzo are shutdown guards.
Look at Alize Johnson.